Morning, everyone. Today I'm going to, I've got a couple of reading videos to catch up on. So the first one is Hebrews chapter 12. This is really powerful, and I was given this yesterday, or led to this yesterday, I should say. And this one is it just when I listened to it at first, and it just blew my mind. So it's really amazing. So I'm going to go through this. I'll just put it up on the screen and zoom in a little. There we go. Okay. So I feel inclined to read this whole thing out. It's quite long, but feel free to just read it yourself as well. All right. Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doeth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. For consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest ye be wearied and faint in your minds. Ye have not resisted unto blood, striving against sin. And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you, as unto children. My son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. If ye endured chastening, God dealeth with you as with sons, for what son is he whom the Father chastened not? This really relates. I can relate to this so much of the past couple of weeks. But if ye be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then are ye bastards and not sons. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live? For they verily for a few days chastened us after their own pleasure, but he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness. Now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness until them which are exercised thereby. And just to add to this, I mean, anyone who's been chastened by the Lord, by the Father, has understands that it's not a pleasant experience. Okay, that's what it's saying. But afterwards, there is this sense of peace, because the thing that you needed correction on, if you've started to correct it and done the right thing, you're now back in the right direction again, and you're on the path again to what he wants for you. Wherefore lift up the hands which hang down, and the feeble knees, and make straight paths for your feet, lest that which is lame be turned out of the way, but let it rather be healed. Follow peace with all men and holiness. Without him no man shall see the Lord. Looking diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you, and thereby many be defiled. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. For ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected, for he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. How appropriate is this right now, the story of Esau, selling his birthright for a bowl of pottage, that we're in now. If you look at, certain things that you have to take or that people have taken, that I talk about often, you get my drift, right? So, selling everything for, one thing, for access to, obviously, to buy and sell and that sort of thing. So we're coming into that time again. And this is really applicable, the story of Esau, because it's exactly what people will do is that they'll just make a spur of the moment decision that forever they can't backpedal from. So yeah, it's really like, I know that I could never go through that again. I would just flat out never could, refuse to. And I've had that personal experience of what it's like as well, which is kind of a blessing in the sense that I know exactly that feeling of absolute, what it feels like to realize and just go, why did I do that? And that regret and that. So yeah, I really, the story of Esau is just incredibly relevant. And yeah, keep reading. For ye are not come unto the mount that might be touched, and that burn with fire, nor until blackness and darkness and tempest, and the sound of a trumpet and the voice of words, which voice they that heard entreated that the word should not be spoken to them any more. That's the word should not be spoken to them any more. For they could not endure that which was commanded, and if so, much as a beast touched the mountain, it shall be stoned or thrust through with a dart. Now that's your worst fear, right? Like those hearing from God, and then all of a sudden you can't hear from him anymore, being shut away, being completely, shall be stoned or thrust through with a dart. Much as a beast touched the mountain. It's just like absolute fear of, fear of being separated from him. And so terrible was the sight that Moses said, I exceedingly fear and quake. But ye are come unto Mount Sion, and unto the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to an innumerable company of angels, to the general assembly and general assembly and church of the firstborn, which are written in heaven, and to God the judge of all, and to the spirits of just men made perfect, and to Jesus the mediator of the new covenant, and to the blood of sprinkling that speaketh better things than that of Abel. See that ye refuse not him that speaketh, for if they escape not who refused him that spake on earth, much, much more shall not we escape, if we turn away from him that speaketh from heaven. Whose voice then shook the earth, but now he hath promised, saying, Yet once more I shake not the earth only, but also heaven. So heaven will pass away, and the new earth. And this word, yet once more, signifieth the removing of those things that are shaken, and of things that are made, that those things which cannot be shaken may remain. So, what do you think he's talking about? I mean, these verses all mean multiple things, but if you can be shaken, all right, you can be shaken up, you can be shaken into submitting to the will of God, okay, then you'll be removed, okay. But if not, you may remain, okay. You'll remain here for the great shaking, okay, for when everything passes away. Wherefore that's how I interpret that anyway. Wherefore we receiving a kingdom which cannot be moved, let us have grace, whereby we may serve God acceptably with reverence and godly fear, for our God is a consuming fire. Wherefore we receiving a kingdom which cannot be moved. The kingdom cannot be shaken, but it cannot be moved. Okay, we're receiving that kingdom that's, rock solid. It's built on strong foundations. Okay, let us have grace so we can serve God with reverence and godly fear. I love that. For our God is a consuming fire. It's very powerful. It's this is just absolutely awesome, Hebrews 12. So, I pray this is for somebody today. I know it's definitely for me as well. I went through some bouts of disobedience and just trying to understand, understand the pitfalls that I kept falling into and things like that. But also, like I didn't enjoy the chastening that I was experiencing either. And just moments of silence and other things. But literally, like, we have to accept it, and we just have to, we have to listen to it, and we have to endure it, because he's teaching us, because he loves us, and that's what he's saying. You're sons of God, your daughters of God, because he does this to you. So, we should rejoice in that. We should rejoice when we're chasing. All right. Okay, guys. God bless. Love you. I'll go into the next video.